And we're starting the news review in Zimbabwe this morning. I'll share with you what happens on Newsday newspapers. Of course, we would also have Johansson join us sometime in a bit. It says there's ZANU-PF, 235 poll promises, keeps 13. Okay. That's something. All right. Once again, ZANU-PF, 235 poll promises, keeps 13. And also government to consider increasing US dollars for civil servants. That's also in the Newsday newspapers this morning. Of course, one thing that we shared earlier, curtain falls on the champion of freedom of expression. That's on page 10. We'll, of course, share a little bit more on that story sometime in the course of the program this morning. These are the only stories that the Newsday has for us this Tuesday morning, 2nd of August.
Now let's move over to South Africa. This morning we're looking at the Sowetan. On the front page of Sowetan, Tembisa mayhem and death. Yes, I shot him. Metro cop confesses to mom he shot her son dead during community protest as death toll rises to 4. Mayor Campbell tells burning Ekukuleni Township residents she can't be everywhere. The details of that on page 4 and 5. Sowetan still on the front page. Idols, please stop with the gimmicks. I want to find out what they're talking about. Details on page 6. I quit army to become social media influencer. That's an interesting story on page 13. And a final story there, Penny to open doors for African coaches. The details on the back page. That's all we can take in South Africa.
All right, let's move now to Nigeria and see what we can find on the Nation newspapers. Big one on your screen, Northwest, Southwest lead in voter registration. 96,303,016 for 2023 polls. This is record-breaking in every way you can describe it, and what we hope, of course, is expected that, the numbers that will eventually turn out to vote in 2023 will, maybe it's looking like it might just double, what the figures were in 2019. All right, also knocks on federal government and ASU over extension of strike. Remember, ASU has said that they're adding another 4 weeks to the strike. Intrigues as Amechi, Akpabio and Silva battle for control of NDDC. And also explains surge in crime. Minister challenges security agencies. Kaduna residents flee as gunmen abduct over 50. And just to put this in context, if you have been following the Kaduna-Abuja train kidnapping, and of course looking at the figures that we can assume that they have raised from those persons, hearing that people paid as much as 100 million naira, you can similarly just assume that they've been able to raise more than 1 billion naira, from just, that incident. Sometime last week, we also mentioned that 36 more people were kidnapped, also in Kaduna. And now we're talking of another 50.
I mean, this started, well, it didn't start, but the Abuja-Kaduna train kidnap was on the 28th of March. And what we've seen is, unfortunately, all this money that's been raised will be used to buy weapons.
Yeah,
and how can we guarantee the safety of the average Nigerian? People are struggling to eat, and then they're talking about getting 100 million naira to pay for their ransoms. Just a very sad update there.
All right. Finally, on the Nation this morning, please beef up security in Oyo, Ondo, and Ekiti. And also PDP Board of Trustees to mediate in Atiku Wike face-off. Those are the big stories this morning on the Nation.
All right, we still have some more papers to review this morning, but we'll be joined, we are of course joined by Johansson, who will be taking us on the next paper review.
Most definitely, guys. Let's take a look at the next paper, and that's got to do with the countdown that's ongoing in Kenya. Daily Nation is what we're going to focus on. The Daily Nation has that big header there that says, President Raila, it's now or never. You do recall that the Daily Nation has been very, very prompt in following up and ensuring that there is a build-up and countdown towards the election. It says a new layer of tarmac, a fresh coat of paint, new water and drainage connections, tighter security, and of course, stately air around Bondo. It also talks about Jomo versus Jaramogi and Uhuru versus Raila. So it promises to be one that everyone is indeed sitting up to look out for, especially Tuesday. Tuesday is just around the corner. By the way, chaos and confusion as schools close early. That's one story you find at the top left of the Daily Nation. All schools have been told to close early so that they can make room for focus and, more importantly, ensure that students are at home while the elections will indeed take place. So it's all about the Kenyan elections, and that's exactly what you find on the front front page of the Daily Nation. Besides that, if you take a look closely, you will see so much, and especially that story at the top, blue header there. It says telcos on the spot over voice and data complaints. Harmful content spikes too. Page 28 has that story, and that's quite similar to what we have here in Nigeria, where there is a percentage that has been added to the data fee. So if you're making phone calls, if you're making video calls, text messages, you might be seeing an increase in prices. But that's what we have on the front page of the Daily Nation from Kenya.
All right, I wanted to just, also bring you in, something that I always wonder how it plays out. Raila Odinga was, contesting against Uhuru Kenyatta a couple of years ago. They seem to be complete rivals. But now the tables are turning, and it seemed that Uhuru Kenyatta is the one bringing Raila Odinga on board to likely take over governance.
Isn't that what we see all the time? They say there's no friend and there's no enemy when it comes to politics, and that's exactly what's ongoing. Well, the front page, I can tell you clearly that if you read the Daily Nation, you would see instances where the Daily Nation this morning breaks down some subtle points that people should look out for, especially ahead of Tuesday. And there are other people from the other party talking about other politicians who are indeed wondering if they are even part of this race. Why the lights are indeed shining on just two people. Others are starting to wonder, are they the only ones who are contending or pushing to become president?
I mean, we have 7 days to find out, what the polls will be saying in Kenya. And of course, we'll be bringing live updates here.